Welcome to the Inter Views podcast.
Prima intenzione, Bobo anticipato, palla vagante, mette giù, recoba, il tiro,
Welcome, Interisti, to episode 160 of the Inter Views podcast, the official podcast of SempreInter.com. We are here for the post-match reaction of Inter's match day 1 Champions League kickoff against AFC Ajax at the Amsterdam Arena, which finished 2-0 to the visitors. Goals from Marcus Thuram from a Hakan corner in the 42nd minute. Same exact scenario in the 47th minute. Inter takes home the 3 points. They get the clean sheet. They right the ship, although, you know, there's still some things that definitely need to be cleared up and worked on. But my God, that was much needed. I don't know if it did anything to calm down the people that are upset, because I'm still seeing a lot of that. But at the very least, there was a little bit more positivity, which I'll go ahead and take that. Johnny, let up 6 goals in the last 2 games. You get a clean sheet away from home in the Champions League. No, it wasn't the cleanest thing in the world, but where are you at right now?
I mean, definitely needed, obviously, I think just for our own mental peace of mind, right? Like, I think giving the results in the last 2 matches, losing both games, like you said, giving up 6 goals, less than ideal. And even though this isn't really where I wanted the bounce back to happen, it was needed, of course, because this was the only game that we had between the Juve game and Sassuolo, so we had to do it, of course, now. But happy with the result, for sure. I think for vibes around the group, you needed a victory. Keeping a clean sheet was massive, and yeah, I'm happy to come away with 3 points in the UCL. We have a little bit of a 2-point cushion on Juve in this league, at least. So
3 points on Atalanta too.
3 points on Atalanta and 3 points on Chelsea, who we're going to be playing later as well. So we'll take it.
We'll definitely take it. There are lots of positives to talk about, which is definitely better than the last time we were here sitting in the chair. So let's go ahead and get into it. I don't think we can start anywhere else but with Chivu, for a couple of different reasons. One, the conversation since the Derby d'Italia, it's been a lot about, Chivu, whether or not he's up to snuff. I don't know the right wording there, but whether or not he's up to do this job. A lot of people don't think that he is. A lot of people were blaming him for what happened with Juventus. And then, yesterday in the press conference, he goes ahead and says Sommer is definitely starting, and that it's not right to be pulling him after 1 game. Certain folks really, really hated that. Certain folks are praising him for sticking by someone and not upsetting the balance of the locker room for whatever that's worth on the pitch. So we made that big call the day before, which had everyone up in arms, continuing to pile on the pressure here. And then today, after it must have been 7 different lineups from Sky, from Gazzetta, Corriere, that said we were going to see our boy Sucic in the lineup. We were getting excited to see, potentially a whole new midfield 3 with the exception of Calhanoglu. You can either say this is a big call or not that big of a call, but he's stuck with his guys. The only real surprise there was Pio Esposito, which that had started to trickle in beforehand. I guess that's his big call. So let's start talking about the Sommer stuff and this lineup, in general. I guess the midfield is the thing that we really need to talk about because everything else, we knew that it was coming. Why don't we start with Sommer? The performance today did not give me, despite the big save in the first half, it didn't give me the sense that, he's back. He didn't have much to deal with. except that late cross into the area, which he completely misplayed. And it looks like Pep Martinez is going to get the start against Sassuolo. Did Chivu make the right call starting Sommer today?
I'll say yes and no. I'll say yes because it gives him an opportunity to, Sommer that is, to kind of regain a little bit of confidence. I'm sure after the match with Juve, he was at an all-time low. If you bench him this game, that just allows it to resonate with him. And he's able to sit in that mindset. And who knows, maybe, let's say we did give this game to Pep, right? And he ends up getting injured for whatever reason. And now you have to go back to Sommer. Is he going to be in the right mindset? Is he going to feel the confidence, or have any sense of confidence that his coach believes in his ability to lead this team from back there? So yeah, maybe like for him personally, this was a good call. I think by Chivu to kind of like show like, hey, like I still believe in you. I still know that you could be, valuable here. Now we as fans may disagree with it in some aspects, and I think I didn't love that he started, but in that aspect, I'll give Chivu the benefit of the doubt for sure. But if you didn't, I say no because then it's like you're still not trusting in Pep. It's like what has to go wrong for you to turn to Pep Martinez? Luca Marchi was saying to me that Pep's just not good enough to replace Sommer. I disagree. Listen, everyone's entitled to their opinion. I'm not going to sit here and say that I know best or that I know better than anyone else, and whatever I think is what Inter should do. But I personally think that Pep Martinez, listen, when he was at Genoa, he was a great shot stopper. He was great at distributing. He didn't have to do it much because it just wasn't the game that Genoa played, especially when teams thought that they could really take it to them. But he kept them in a lot of games and allowed Gilardino to be able to hang on to, I believe they finished 10th or 11th that year with his 1 year as the main starter at Genoa in Serie A. I think that he has a job that he can still do. I think that if you want to look at that season outside of Di Gregorio, in terms of goalkeepers at mid-table teams, he was the best guy. And you could even make a case that if it wasn't for, Sommer being at Inter and us winning that title, he might have been one of the best goalkeepers in the league. I mean, Di Gregorio did win that year, but I think Pep was definitely in the conversation. So I love it. The signing that is. So I think that he can be our number one for the next, maybe 5, 6, 7 years if given the opportunity. We don't have to look at Caprile as an option, because then what? And then I saw somebody saying, that, we could sign Caprile as the backup for like 15 million. Then we're doing the same thing that we did with Martinez. Like, what's the point of spending 15 million on a guy who's just going to be the backup? And don't get me wrong, I think Caprile is a fantastic goalkeeper. And the only reason I'd be okay with him is if your goal is to just then sell Martinez, because there's no reason to keep him at that price point. But anyway, I'm glad that, you just said that he's going to be the goalkeeper going against Sassuolo. I hope that he does a job. He hasn't done anything that has been a mistake or looked poor for us. Like every game that he played last year, what did he do wrong? Honestly.
That's why I don't get the Interisti saying he's not good enough, because I don't know anyone that said that after his starts last year.
Like, did he have the impact that Onana had? No. But he also did nothing wrong. Like, he's also a different goalkeeper in general. Like, I think in terms of actual pure shot stopper, I would take him over Onana in terms of shot stopping. If I'm only caring about distribution, which with the way that we play, it's not the same system as Inzaghi. So Martinez could actually still be a better fit than Onana would be. I don't get the hate. I don't understand why Interisti are like so anti-Pep. It's almost like they're upset that we signed him to begin with, and now it's like, well, I have to like remain defiant that I don't want him to be the goalkeeper. Like, it just makes no sense.
I think you hit the nail on the head there. I think that's where any dislike about Pep comes from, although I'm seeing a lot of support for him getting the starting role. It almost feels like that has more to do with Interisti being fed up with Sommer, who, in all fairness, Raffaele Caruso had a tweet yesterday that, like, after the Chivu comments came out, that it wouldn't be putting Sommer to the side because of one performance. All summer, he was not great. There were several goals in the Club World Cup that he could have done much, much better with. So for months now, it's kind of been like, Jan, are you losing a little bit of it? And if he is, it's going to be exacerbated even worse because he's not the tallest goalkeeper in the world. Like if he all of a sudden is a step slower, that's pretty significant. I think what you said about starting him this game, like if Pep was to get hurt in this game, the mental gymnastics that he would have to go through or to get himself back up, I thought that was the best thing that you said there, because frankly, like Pep didn't need to start this game unless you were absolutely trying to send a message to Sommer. And I don't know if that was necessary. I think on a personal level, I believe, like, to relate it back to football, like Aaron Glenn, what's his name? Gibson has a fumble in week 1 for the Jets, and he cuts him immediately after. I'm not talking about, like, you completely lose your place in the squad forever, but, given that we're coming off of 2 straight losses, like, maybe there is an opportunity to send a message to the team, and that no one's spot is guaranteed no matter what you did for the club in the past. He went a different route. It worked out today for the most part. That 87th minute cross that comes in that Sommer goes for, doesn't get to, if Dolberg hits that properly, it's 2-1 to Inter in the dying minutes of the game, and then all of a sudden, like, even if Inter, A, they could have tied the game, B, even if Inter pulled it out, it's like, well, you weren't able to keep a clean sheet that you were heading towards in the very last minutes of the game because Sommer, you made a mistake. So it worked out for him today, but I don't know how you feel. I don't believe that it should move us completely off of the idea that Pep should be stepping in there at some point.
No, I 100% agree. Like, I think that he has to be the one stepping in. We need to learn, and I don't know if this is from management. I don't know if this is from the manager himself. Maybe he does have full autonomy to do what he wants with the starting 11 and how to dispatch the squad. Like, I don't know at what level of freedom they give Chivu, but we need to learn from the mistakes that we made with Handanovic. Okay, when you hang on to him too long, when you keep playing him in game, like, who knows how that season could have played out had Inzaghi made the switch to Onana sooner. I'm not saying we would have won the league, because even with Onana in net, we still lost games in the league. We struggled. We lost 12 games that year, but maybe we only lose 7 games that year or 5 games. Like, who knows? Like, I don't know, to be quite honest. Like, but early on, it was not great from Samir Handanovic. I'm not saying that Sommer is, the worst thing or anything like that, but I think at this point he needs to understand that you're not as quick as you used to be, which, to be fair, that was like his greatest characteristic, was his reflexes. And really, if you look, like, after the tie with Barcelona, the reflexes started going like nosediving right there. Yeah, I mean, there was. I won't put him at fault for everything that happened in the final, but there was some that I'm sure that if he was still as sharp as he had been in the semis, maybe they get kept out. We saw what happened against Juve. That's inexcusable. I don't care who the goalkeeper is. I would be saying the same thing if it was the other way around. If it was Pep who was making those poor efforts and not really being quick enough to get down to his right and stuff like that. So you have to, like, at the very least, to also see what you have. Like, we really don't know. What we've seen has been good, like we said, but if he's complete trash, and I'm not saying I want to punt this season, but it's like, if he's complete trash, then it's like, all right, Caprile is what we have to go after in the summertime. Like, he might have to be a priority over another defense, although I think a defender is more important. But maybe that is, like, something that we need to focus on, signing a center back and a goalkeeper. Like, let's throw him out there. We know what we have in Sommer at this point. It's not going to get better. It can only get worse.
Yep.
But, like, you know what you have at your disposal. Now let's see if Martinez is the goalkeeper for the next, like I said, 4, 5, 6, 7 years, or if you need to look to invest in the goalkeeping market.
And he's 26, 27. Like, this 27. Is his 27.
This is him hitting his prime. Like, prime.
Yeah.
It should be from now to age 33 that you are really in your prime years as a goalkeeper. unless you're the outlier like a Donnarumma, like which comes once every 45,000 years, it feels like.
And it's also, I mean, with respect to Sommer, who had a great save in the first half. It wasn't a particularly good, attempt at a finish, to be honest, from Goetz, but nevertheless, it was a great save. He did have a giveaway under pressure in the first half. He pinged a lot of long balls. Pep's feet were born in La Masia. He's got the ability, and he's got also, the training under pressure to be able to play the correct pass. Gazzetta did throw out a scenario that they believe is going to happen, which I don't know how seriously you can take them after they said Pep was going to start this whole time, and it ended up being Sommer. But they threw out the idea that Pep is going to be the Serie A goalkeeper, and that we're going to get Sommer in the Champions League. I'm not a rotation guy. I'm a once in a while guy. But at this point, I'm like Sommer once in a while. Not you get one competition, I get the other. You get what I'm saying? Like, do you see that? A, do you see that being something that's actually going to play out? And B, do you think that would be a good idea?
I'll say A, I don't think it will. But B, I also don't think it would be a good idea. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think that if you decide to go with that split, like look at the dysfunction that Inter had when they did the same thing with Handanovic and Onana. It just felt like that there was a fear in the back line on, hey, can I rely on Samir to be able to play the ball at his feet? Can I rely on him to be quickly and recover? God forbid I make a mistake. Like, you saw that there was a little bit of tense moments with the back line. You just saw it. It felt like that we sat back deeper because we were afraid that if we went too far forward, that God forbid, the team came on the counter, Handanovic would not be quick enough off his line or not be quick to react and whatnot. Whereas Onana, obviously, a little bit of a wild card back there. He would come out deep. He would be able to play with his feet. He would feel a little bit more comfortable, just dragging it back behind himself and turning the other direction. Like, although there was a little bit of risk with him, but it was also a sense of security with him as well. So if you do the same thing now, I'm not saying that Sommer is bad with his feet by any means. I do think that he's pretty solid with them, but he's also not as quick as what we once saw. I know people want to say that it was a big save that he made in the first half. I personally think it was more so a poor shot by that forward. I forget his name now. With Goetz with Ajax there. Like, you had him, the defender beat. You could either go to your left, and maybe he's not comfortable on his left, which is fair, but you still should have been able to curl it around him with your right, and he kind of just almost hit it down into the ground. It was like a bit of a weak shot, in my opinion, and Sommer just still made a great save. But what if that did go in? Or what would be the reaction then? I know I'm playing the game of what ifs here with this, but I just think that you cannot be going back and forth between goalkeepers, because then your defense cannot get comfortable with that player. We may already see the players have a good relationship with Sommer, and they kind of know what to expect. Whereas if you give them a game of Martinez, and then you go to Champions League and it goes back to Sommer, then you go back to Martinez, it's going to be almost playing two different games, to be honest, altogether within your own squad. You're going to have to be having two different styles, and we already see a little bit, I don't want to say dysfunction, but a little bit of a lack of cohesion in some aspects. Maybe a little bit of uncertainty. So do you want to just amplify that in more ways? I don't think so. Hopefully, Chivu feels the same way.
Yeah, I think all of this whole discussion about Sommer, which I feel like it was Sommer and Pep, I feel like it was important because that was, one of the bigger storylines about Chivu and his, what he was going to do coming into this game. For all that being said, I think Pep's going to get his spots. I don't think Sommer is going to be sat down completely. And, they're just going to sort of play this thing by ear. Sommer did what he had to do today, and that's all we care about. The other big call, we won this game, so let's start talking about some of the great things that happened. The other huge call, Marotta before the game, he says Pio's going to be in there. It's great that Chivu gives this young kid an opportunity. After the game, Chivu says, I told you that this guy was going to be the guy that you'd be watching for the national team and for Inter for the next 10 years. He gets to start over a Boni Thuram duo there. He partners Thuram in attack today. I thought he was excellent. I thought he was perfect as an outlet for the team to beat Ajax's press. It felt like he didn't get every ball to come off, but it felt like for the most part, those balls were coming to Pio and they would just die. Like it wasn't rolling away for him or anything like that. He was controlling them perfectly. I thought his layoffs were great. I thought his decision making in the final third, 2 goals, 2 assists he was robbed of from Dumfries and Thuram. I thought physically, like, he looked like he belongs. He looked like an absolute hoss and a bully out there, like Dzeko, which he said was someone that he models his game after. A full 90 in his debut in the Champions League after playing in Serie B all of last season. Francesco Pio Esposito. Gianni, what did you see from the big young Italian striker?
I'll be honest, I think I see, the future of Italy right there. Like, that is a player that I think could become our next, Italy's, Luca Toni, who's just a big target man who is able to hold up play, allow his teammates, like you said, to run into spaces and be able to lay them off. He should have had 2 assists, especially that one that he was a quick little I love when a striker knows how to position his body and just literally redirect a pass straight to break the lines, and Dumfries came through, and I believe it was Boss who made a good recovery there and was able to kind of stop the shot from being taken really by Dumfries. But fantastic play. I mean, the guy won, I want to say, almost every aerial duel that he had. He was fouled because they just didn't know how to really handle him. I think that the sky is really the limit. Like, I'm glad that we hung on to him. I'm glad that we rejected all offers for loans. I mean, supposedly Manchester United wanted to come in and buy him. I'm glad that was turned down because this kid
Napoli with a 50 million offer for him.
Yeah,
that would have broke my heart.
To see him become the next Lukaku with Conte would have killed me. Yeah, it would have. But it's crazy. Think about it, right? Lorenzo Luca went for 35. They were willing to pay 50 for Pio. I think that should tell you all you need to know about what people see in his potential. And I'm excited. I think that, him and Thuram seem to have good chemistry. I think him and Boni could be absolutely lethal together. Oh gosh, just the thought of it. And I'm not saying I want, Lautaro gone or anything by any means, but I am going to say that if, God forbid, he decided to leave, or God forbid Thuram decided to leave, I would feel okay knowing that Pio could step in and go up against the best of the best. I really don't granted, I know these aren't the best center backs in the world, and I will say it's because they didn't put the king himself, Sutalo, in at that time. But all kidding aside, if you have a player like this, I do think that he would be able to, I wonder what could have happened. Could he have been able to handle Bremer? Would he have been able to bring a different wrinkle to the attack and give them something, up front where he would maybe, who knows, maybe he commits a foul and gets taken down in the box and now we're up 4-2 instead of the 3-2, who knows? I know this is all, again, speculation and whatever, but I think that he could have had a positive impact is what I'm trying to say. And I'm glad he got the 90 minutes. I think that's great for his confidence. Even though he wasn't able to get on the score sheet, I think that he could go from this and say, okay, I can hang with these guys. I can be able to mark my presence on the pitch and still have an impact without being on the score sheet. Pio's going to be a great player. And honestly, I still haven't bought my my kit this year. I'm going to get Sucic on the 3rd. Maybe I'll get Pio on the home. I don't know. We'll see. I love to support the Italian players, though. For crying out loud, I had a Gagliardini kit.
You had to get an Esposito jersey at some point, right? They've had 6 brothers come to the club.
One of them had to hit, right?
One of them had to hit. It's so interesting. I think your point about the fouls drawn is actually super underrated and a huge part of the game, especially when you're a target man. You're effective as a target man by them being able to hit a long ball to you, and you beat the press, and you also allow the ball and allow your team to move up the pitch. Getting fouled like that, it accomplishes the same goal. It gives everyone a second to reset, and it puts the defense on the back foot there. So it's also interesting you bring up Luca Toni, because he was doing analysis for Sky Sport, I believe, and he had nothing but praise for Pio. Capello, nothing but praise for Pio. Boban was talking about, I don't know if he's got the speed to do it. Pio in the post game was talking about Dzeko being his idol. Dzeko didn't have the speed either, and I think we just didn't get to see Pio in a good amount of space. He's a really good passer, so he doesn't really need to beat his man with speed. He can play a through ball in behind them. The way that all of his teammates were talking about him and how proud they were for him, and talking about the person, this just seems like a kid, a 20-year-old kid that has his feet on the ground, is working extremely hard, and is ready to play. Has really good target man characteristics right now. And he should only get better. I'm really, really, really excited about him. He's a legitimate Lautaro alternative, which we haven't had last year. Lauti is our target man today. A lot of the balls come into him, and he does a good job of the body feint and being able to move and play the ball up the pitch. But although they're built a little bit differently, Pio can do a lot of that same stuff too. I'm really, really happy for him. I'm really excited that we have this kind of player. I agree with you. Him and Boni up top is like, one's 21, one's 20 years old. For all this shit about this Mercato this summer, that you could be looking at Inter's attack for the next 7 years. And that's really, really exciting to think about. Big ups to the kid. I'm really happy for him. Another call that people made, this was to be expected, but for me, I know Thuram got the goals, but for me, man of the match, Stefan de Vrij. What a beast performance from him. What a beast performance from him. I watched all of Ajax's highlights. Their team runs through Weghorst. They run through him, and he's a pretty good player. As far as target men go, he's good. He can bring the ball down, he can play it, and he's got some speed. De Vrij pocketed him like you've never seen others get pocketed. He was exactly what we saw last year when Acerbi went down and De Vrij stepped in and was like just fucking throwing perfect performances week after week. There was a lot of concern because we have seen in the past De Vrij get spun. There was a lot of concern about this high line, and is De Vrij like a suitable alternative? Can De Vrij or Acerbi play that high line? He had no problem with it. His passing is not as expansive as Acerbi, but he gets the job done. Sometimes, I don't know, I grew up with center backs who were no nonsense, would clear the ball when they're supposed to clear the ball, would lay the ball off and play the simple, easy, safe pass. It was awesome to see him out there in vintage form after a summer where, a lot of the conversation is that these guys are old and they can't do it anymore. I don't know, man. European night against a young team like Ajax, he was in complete and total fucking control. Ajax didn't do shit. Stefan de Vrij, man, get him in the lineup more. That was the right call, Chivu.
Couldn't agree more. I mean, when you look at the way, it also felt like between him, Bastoni, and Akanji, there was it looked more comfortable back there. I think that they felt more confident with him in terms of, just pace alone, that they felt like they could actually go and close out their men a little bit more. I thought Bastoni was a little bit, not risky, but he more willing to go, leave his area and close down a guy who had possession in those instances. And yeah, De Vrij is. Listen, I don't think he's going to be perfect all season. There will be a game where he will probably drop a stinker and will be. I won't say we. I'll say I'll be here upset about it in some way, shape, or form. But yeah, tonight, perfection. I don't know if I'd go man of the match for him, but I will say that it just felt a lot better with him there, and it kind of upsets me that we didn't play him against Juve, because I think that, again, I'm not saying that Acerbi was at fault for the game, but I do think that it might have been a little bit different in some regards. I think that when it comes to clearances and even headed clearances, he might, because I think he's able to get up a little bit more. I think that who knows, maybe in that header by Keprin, maybe he's the one marking Thuram in that instance instead, and he's able to maybe not win the header, but at least make it harder for him in that instance. But it is what it is. Look, that's obviously in the past, but yeah, flowers to De Vrij. He made the most of his opportunity, and that's what you want, right? When you call on your players who are on the bench to be starters, you want them to be able to make the most of it. And given that Pio and De Vrij are not typically in the starting 11, they grabbed this opportunity by the scruff of the neck and made the most of it. So I'm thrilled with both of them.
Should this performance open up a question about who should be, again, we talk about this all the time, like big game, do or die game. You go Acerbi or you go De Vrij. Should that conversation be opened up right now?
It should definitely at least be a conversation. I'm not saying that it's an automatic, oh, yes, you have to go with De Vrij. I think that if we go up against Napoli with Lorenzo Luca, maybe I would rather have Acerbi there because he's able to handle, these bigger, stronger, more physical forwards in a better fashion. If we have someone, let's say we're going against, I don't know, I'm trying to think who's got like pacey forwards, but yeah, maybe Juve next time, maybe De Vrij's the better call if they decide to start David, although Vlahovic is on a bit of a tear himself, so maybe they keep going, and we know Acerbi frustrates Vlahovic, but maybe, I think that when they're playing out wide or they're going, trying to cross balls in, I may prefer De Vrij, who may be able to recover quicker and then be able to also, have headed clearances as well there. So I think it should be like a situational thing, but it shouldn't be a far gone conclusion that Acerbi is the one who has to be started.
Coming into this game, conversation about Frattesi starting, conversation about Sucic starting. Chivu goes with the midfield from the past several years, Hakan, Barella, and Mkhitaryan. I want to read a quote from Chivu in the post-match press conference that actually Pandev was asking him. They had a little joke back and forth, about Pandev being a journalist now. But he mentioned, I want to use this formation because I didn't want to take away any certainties. Certainties probably talking about this midfield three. Certainties in the fact that they've been the midfield three for a long time. We need to change a few things and add a few others, rediscovering the confidence and the mental aspect, which is very important. I'm not stupid. I'm moving forward on my path and with my beliefs without damaging an already strong team. A lot of conversation about, all of the transfer market spend is still just sitting on the bench. People want to see the likes of Sucic, of Juf, of Frattesi even, a lot of money was invested in him, a lot of conversation around him getting more playing time this year. Zielinski, even, a lot of conversation about him rediscovering his form. Was this, given that it is a game where we have to respond, given that it is the first game in the Champions League, was it the right call to go with this starting three? And based on the, you can base it on the performance, you can base it off of the conversation coming into the game. Did Chivu make the right call here?
Look, I think based on the performance, the midfield was fine, of course. Like I don't think either one of them, and listen, everybody knows I'm not the biggest Mkhitaryan fan, but I don't think he played a poor game this game.
Agreed.
Barella, I thought, was just a typical, UEFA night for him. I think he still was like influential in every facet. Calhanoglu, good game as well. Obviously the 2 assists are big. He seemed to be picking the ball around as well. I thought that some of the passes he made, like that one that he actually played out to Dumfries in the second half, which I thought was a brilliant ball over the top. That Dumfries, unfortunately, it was played or handled by Boss, I believe, as well, actually. It would have, I was so upset about that too, because it would have been Pio alone on goal, and I would have loved to have seen him score his first goal. Not only, but like to have a first like real I don't count the Club World Cup. I know he scored there, but like a senior goal, Champions League goal, it would have been awesome. But yeah, listen. I still wish Sučić was used. Of course, I'm always going to root for him. Not only because I'm a big fan, but I want the youth to be in there. I want them to get more exposure, get more comfortable with this club. And not that Sučić looks uncomfortable by any means, but it's like I just want him to stamp his
grow. He's 21.
Grow.
He's 21.
I want him to grow. I want him to like just cement his place in this starting 11 and be like, okay, who's in the midfield? Sučić, Calhanoglu, Barella, every game, whatever. Like that's what I want. I'm sure he's going to be the one starting against Sassuolo, which, yes, I mean let's hope, right? But it's and I think that's my one frustration with Chivu is that he did go with this 11. It's like these are like you said earlier. Oh, he stuck with his guys. These aren't his guys. These are the guys he inherited. So like he could really make it whatever he wants to put his own spin on it, flair on it, whatever you want to call it. He has no time. I know he said in the summer that he trusts Mkhitaryan, he's confident in Mkhitaryan, whatever. That doesn't mean you have to start him all the time. You could still trust him, but give the minutes to Sučić to allow him to grow and develop. But
he's had these quotes about like, I don't care if you're 19 or if you're 36, like your age doesn't matter to me. But to make a call like this tonight, it seems pretty obvious that, the temperature, the water around Inter is boiling. And he had to go with like, okay, these are the experienced guys that can handle a situation like this. Or at least, it's believed that they are the ones that can handle a situation like this.
Mm-hmm.
My biggest thing with starting this midfield three, and it worked out, and I'm happy they got a ton of minutes, and absolutely there should be turnover against Sassuolo. But the thing that I keep coming back to, I thought Faka had a great game. I thought he looked vintage. I think Barella had a few too many like giveaways that were uncharacteristic. The commentators mentioned it's been 40 games without him scoring a goal for Inter. I hadn't even realized that, and that is a little shocking. I don't think he was at his best today, but he got the job done. But specifically when it comes to Mkhitaryan, who I'm going to preface this by saying I thought had a pretty good game. I didn't think there was anything wrong with his performance. I don't see anything that he does that Sučić can't do. If not even better, especially in the final third. I retweeted the goal from the Club World Cup that Pio scored that came from Sučić going at his man at the top of the box and doing a layoff to Esposito, which could have been a 1-2, but Esposito dragged the ball back and finished in the back of the net. I don't care about the conversation that's like, look, your whole transfer market budget is on the bench. I think that's really low-hanging fruit for just being mad to be mad, because if you're being, again, I say this all the time, intellectually honest, this team's going to play probably 50-plus games this year. Well, definitely 50-plus games this year. Those guys will get time to play. It's not going to be another year of these three constantly getting starts week in and week out. Again, it probably had everything to do with the fact that, like, this was a big game. You need to get it done, and these guys have been a midfield that has gotten you to 2 Champions League finals in the last 3 years. And I get why he did it. He was making a big call with keeping Sommer in net. He was making a big call with throwing a 20-year-old to partner Thuram. So, he went with the experience, and it worked out. But the fact of the matter is that this can't be an all-the-time occurrence. And I think, Johnny, you and I are on the same page about this. There also needs to be, in a big spot, kind of like how today was, there needs to be a chance given to a Sučić. I'm not even going to say Juf at this point because, we haven't seen anything from him that would make me feel confident about it, but Sucic, I think, can do it in a big spot. This is a national team player, and he's cemented in that starting lineup for Croatia, which is loaded with ballers. Frattesi in a big spot, Zielinski in a big spot. I don't think that this should be our big spot midfield every time.
Yeah, couldn't agree more with that. Listen, I don't want to keep beating a dead horse here. I'm high on this kid. Like I want him to be next up in the long line of successful Inter midfielders who have successful careers in the black and blue. And one thing I was thinking about with this game, which I don't want to take a turn in negative town, but you did bring up Juve. I also think of Luis Enrique. Isn't it crazy that I'm still struggling to understand this, but like, what was wrong with Zalewski? Like, why couldn't, like, there was actually, like, if this is how we're like going to treat Enrique and Juve, why did we even sell Zalewski, who's balling out for Atalanta, by the way? But like, I love the tactical flexibility. You could play Zalewski on the left, the right, as a mezzala. I think that he would have been another guy that we could be leaning on in these moments. Maybe you give Dimarco, even though I thought Dimarco had a great game himself. This was like the first time in a while that I thought he looked somewhat like his usual self.
I'm laughing just because, like, how gassed was he at the end of that game? Like, I mean, yeah, classic.
And you know what? You still could have had Zalewski come in, and you also could have, if you wanted to, taken Bastoni off and put Carlos Augusto there. So, like, you had all these pieces. But anyway, I would still like to see, Sucic be a guy that you can count on in the big moments. He's obviously done it for Zagreb. He's done it for Croatia. I don't think
big games for Croatia. Big games.
Big game. Not against
France. Against France, he ran. That was when I believe he beat Brozovic's record.
Like, why is that okay? It just makes there's no need for him to not be leaned on. He can handle it. He can carry that weight. So, I'm maybe it's Chivu wanting to ease him into that reliance, but I still think that you need to start doing it now. Like, what are you going to do? Like, throw him against, I don't know, Arsenal? And then if, God forbid, he flops, well, it's like, oh, well, this is why we don't do it. Well, if you would have eased him into it, maybe against an Ajax, allow him to get the comfortability there. Not that he shouldn't be comfortable, but you know what I'm saying. Like, it's you have to give these guys a chance. You have to. Why sign them if you're not going to use them? And I'm talking about Sucic specifically. Not really. I don't really care about. Obviously, Boni was used as well, but like I don't really care about Juve and Enrique right now.
Yeah. The only reason those guys are even part of the conversation, it's again to what I said earlier about there's a section of the fan base that wants to find something to complain about, and 50 million is sitting on the bench being practically unused. Although that's not going to be the case for the whole season, and it wasn't necessary today. We needed to win today, right? It's not time. It's not really chance taking time. Although I don't think Sucic would have been that big of a chance to take. All right, I do want to talk about the subs and the timing of them specifically, but let's move off of discussing some of Chivu's decisions here, and let's get into some of these players. Marcos Thuram, you had mentioned, was your player of the match, man of the match. I think that's a fair call. He scored 2 goals with his head, which he's not
known for.
Not known for, becoming a thing. After the game, he's interviewed. He says that he doesn't care for any of the social media discussion, any of the media discussion, especially after the behavior during the Juventus match. He says, everyone knows that I give my all for Inter. Apparently the conversation with his brother was, just saying like, hey, tell them that you fouled Bonni, which, I get it. You're playing against your brother. Like, that would be weird. If you and I encountered each other on different teams on the pitch, like, we'd probably have a laugh, even in a tense moment. So, Dimarco also called out, like, saying the personal stuff sometimes is over the top. Thuram responded today. I thought outside of the 2 set-piece goals that he scored, he was still giving Ajax fits with his movement, with his aggressiveness to take them on. You have Lautaro, his running mate that's sitting and that's the captain of the team, Thuram kind of had like a real leader type of leading from the front type of performance. From the get-go, he was sharp and he was making it happen. What do you make of Thuram's start to the season, which has been pretty fucking devastating?
Start of the season, phenomenal. I think that this performance definitely put my mind at ease based on the way things ended against Juve. Like I said in the last episode, I didn't love the lack of a celebration and the laughing with his brother. Even before I heard that is what Marcus said, somebody who was a neutral fan watching the game, that's what they thought. Like that he was just giving his brother a hard time or saying like, hey, like admit it, you did, you must have done something there. Like, and that's not how I took it. Obviously in the moment, I mean, we said like I was upset with it, but hearing that and seeing that as a possibility, like, yeah, like, you know what, that's probably exactly what happened. That's normal. It's two brothers going at one another. I'm sure there's a bit of a little rivalry between them and then wanting to have the edge in the head to head. Which Marcus, your brother's kind of taking a little bit of a lead here. Like, let's get it back.
But, and Marcus is the big brother too. Like he, which it makes a difference.
Now you're losing your little brother. You're probably never going to hear the end of it at dinner. So, especially with your father being a supporter of the other team. So yeah, I could see it. But anyway, phenomenal performance. I mean, he started like this last year too, though, if you remember. Like, I hope he's able to keep it up for the whole season. I know he picked up a knock in January, and that's kind of where it started to fade a little bit. But if he's able to keep this form on, like you could make a case for him being Serie A MVP this year. So like hopefully he can kind of keep this going. It relieves obviously a little bit of pressure from Lautaro, who is the captain, of course, and you want to see him perform and contributing goals and stuff. But if you're able to lean on one, that makes it a little bit easier on the other one. And hopefully we can get both these guys clicking at the same time, because that was another thing we were missing last year, where if one was hot, the other one wasn't. We need them both to be firing on all cylinders for us to be able to be successful. And, otherwise you're going to be looking to a Pio or a Boni to pick up the slack. And I do have full faith that either one of them could do it, but it'd be nice if your big guns are performing like big guns. And thrilled with the performance today. He, like you said, he was leading from the front. And it was nice to see him smiling and joking with everybody and just willing, again, to take on his man and make it hard for that Ajax backline to be able to handle him.
Yeah. I think the really big takeaway, despite the finishing, is just that after all of the conversation, I thought he was just a real leader out there today. And that is not something that we've grown super accustomed to associating with Thuram, but he is a leader of this team. He's a super important part of what we do. And he's got a legitimate backup now in Boni, who, again, 21 years old, like he's going to have his growing pains. But to your point about like unlocking the best of Marcus Thuram means that he's going to need to pick his spots a little bit and not have a season where he plays 60 games, 55 plus games, and it wears on him because he's picked up injuries here or there. If this is the kind of performance that he can deliver in crunch time, and if he's able to stay healthy, you mentioned Serie A MVP. I think that's well within striking distance. And we talked about who's going to score more, Lautaro or Thuram this season. Early on, looks like Thuram is going to be relied on to bang in the goals. Start number 2 for Manuel Akanji, again at right center back. He was probably, I don't know that I have anything negative to really say about his performance. I thought there was a giveaway or two, and I thought there was a little bit of softness on some of the defending of the set pieces. But just a regular performance out of him. What do you make from these first 2 outings from our marquee signing for the defense?
It's 2 starts in a short window. Playing in Serie A is very different to playing in the EPL, in my opinion. I know this is a Champions League game, but it's like you're I think you're going to have a little bit of a different type of structure and a little bit of a different type of expectation as opposed to what you were able to do and get away with in the EPL and under Pep, right? I think he needs to recognize that he will be leaned on for more so for his defensive abilities instead of like his ball playing abilities. And I'm not going to write him off by any means, just yet. I think that he is still a very capable player. And it's funny, people are pointing to, Pavard scoring for Marseille. Like, guys, it's the Uber Eats league. Like, let's settle down. It's not the end of the world. Do I think we should have let him go? No, but it's not like we just stuck with Bisek. We were able to bring in a capable player who I still think can do a job and still perform at a high level and has a role to play here. So like let's give him a chance to kind of grow and get comfortable with his new surroundings. And I'm sure, by late October, early November, we'll see him, playing his top level by any means.
I think that's a perfect way to put a bow on the conversation around Akanji. It's, the job is being done right now, but I think we both expect better
Yes.
down the line. Let's talk about these subs. First, I want to point out the timing. 1 sub with 20 minutes to go, 2 subs with 10 minutes to go, 2 subs with 5 minutes to go. That's a lot later than what we were used to with Simone Inzaghi. And then the subs themselves, Frattesi for Mkhitaryan in the 69th minute. At that point in time, for me, the sub was definitely Dimarco. He was really starting to slow down at that time, and they were starting to attack down his side. And then with, 10 minutes to go, he puts on Augusto. I mentioned Frattesi for Mickey, correct?
Yes, you did.
Yeah. Then he subs on Augusto for Dimarco, and Zielinski comes in for Barella. So 2-0 lead, 10 minutes to go. You upgrade on the left wing back position as far as defense is concerned, but you put in 2 of your weaker defensive-oriented midfielders in Frattesi and Zielinski. And then Sucic and Boni get 5 minutes to end the game for Calhanoglu, which Sucic slotted into the regista position, and Boni for Thuram with 5 minutes left. Were those the right A, timing of subs, and B, personnel? One thing to note before you get into that, the unused personnel were, besides the 2 goalkeepers, Acerbi, Bisek, Juf, Luis Enrique, and Lautaro Martinez. He said Lautaro was not available today. So Luis Enrique, Juf, Bisek, and Acerbi. I
mean, yeah, when you look at what was available, yeah, probably the right subs. Maybe not the right order, in my opinion. Yeah. I feel like you throw Frattesi on when you need to chase a goal. You don't bring him on when you're trying to close out a game. I did tweet, has he even touched the ball? I did look up. He had 11 touches. I don't really remember anything. I do remember him getting dribbled past once. I know I hang on to the negative with him more so than not. He was on the pitch for a minute, and you're like, has he touched the ball yet? Dying. I was dying. Just not memorable to me ever. I'm sorry. I'm not his biggest fan. In my opinion, it should have been Sucic, or like you said, really, it should have been Augusto for Dimarco first. And then that's the 20 minutes left sub. Yeah, it should have been the 30 or 20 minutes. Yeah, it should have been the 20 minutes left sub. Then the 10 minutes left sub should have been Zielinski and Sucic. And then 5 minutes, you could have done Boni, Frattesi, in my opinion. I have the exact same way, but the only switch I would have done was, so we both have Carlos as your 20 minutes left sub. Yep. Then your 2 subs with 10 minutes to go. I would have pulled Thuram off with 10 minutes to go and put on Boni. Okay. Just because, if Lauti's back is barking more than we want him to, I don't need Thuram to do 85 minutes. I would have done him and Sucic. Boni and Sucic with 10 minutes to go. And then the 5 minutes window would have been Zielinski and Frattesi. Okay. I don't... That's not wrong to me. I'm fine with that one instead. Yeah. Dimarco, better.
today. Dumfries, good, but, should have had a goal.
Still expect better from him, but yeah, good.
Should have had a goal. Bastoni, is he less influential in this system? Because I think part of what really set him apart is I tweeted 2 days ago just about the differences in the system and how much quicker the impetus is to get the ball in the final third. Whereas Bastoni, when it was possess the ball to progress the ball system, Bastoni had a lot more of the ball. Is it a problem that this system is not necessarily going to highlight the best of Bastoni, or at least it hasn't to this point in time? Or is it not really a worry? He's a left center back. Maybe he doesn't have 90 touches a game like usual. Maybe it's a little bit less, but the quality is still there, so it doesn't make a big difference.
Yeah, I don't think it really makes that big of a difference. I mean, he still had around 70 touches this match, if I'm not mistaken, like when I looked up everything. So, yes, it's a little bit less than we're expected or accustomed from him, but I still think that he did play a part in this game and had an important role. He may not be having, those memorable passes where he plays crossfield to Barella running in on an open goal and able to score. That may not happen in this Chivu system, but I still think he'll be able to cross balls into the box, to be able to pick out, Pio or Thuram and have opportunities to provide assists in that way. I still think he could also score goals off corners, maybe, take a shot from distance if he's given some time and space. So I'm not reading too much into this. You want to ask this clown Daniel Russo, who's a Napoli fan, who says Bastoni is overrated center back. Fine, if that's the opinion he wants to share. To get some interactions on Twitter.com, but it just you have to be a complete idiot if you don't see the value that Bastoni brings and the importance he has, not just for club but for also country. He may not be a center back in the defensive abilities in the same level of Maldini, Nesta, and Cannavaro, but he's still an elite defender. And if you can't see that, or you're struggling to recognize that, maybe watch pickleball on ESPN 8 instead. There's really just no room for just saying stupid things just to be a hipster on Twitter, in my opinion. So I think that he's still going to be important to our success. I would make the case that even though he's not, contributing on the offensive aspect, I still think he's been one of the most consistent performers for us so far in the short season.
Agreed with every word. All right. Anything else about this game that you want to talk about before we get into the listener comments?
No, nothing.
Okay. At Mr. Mike Gurrieri, De Vrij should have the armband, in my opinion. Buy or sell?
Woo! That is a take, Mike. I'm gonna have to sell that. Unfortunately, if we were, let's say, take it away from Lautaro, I think my first choice would be Bastoni, in my opinion. As much as I love Barella, I think Bastoni is a better leader for this team.
Yeah. De Vrij was a Lazio captain, but I don't think
he's
that...
one for us, too.
He's been one for us as well. I don't think that putting the armband on him necessarily changes his performance. I mean, the guy's a pro. He's a bulldog. He goes out there and he shows it week in and week out. Maybe it is. He could be a good one, but I think that torch has been passed. At Uncle George 0, what's up, guys? Great win today. My question for you both: what is this hype train around Mourinho? We'll always be grateful for what he's done for the club, but if we're really being honest, I think his best days are past him already.
The good news is we don't have to worry about it anymore.
Yep.
So
Benfica, where it all started.
Thank you for stepping in, being the first ones to pull the trigger and hire Mo. I mean, listen, I wish him the best. I do. I don't want to see him fail, but I don't think a renaissance or bringing him back would have been the right call by any means. I think it would have tarnished his legacy. No matter what, he would have had to win a triple again in order for it to be a success, in my opinion. I I don't think just winning a league title would have been enough. I think you would have had to like done something spectacular, and like, you know, you can get a top 4 finish with Roma and that'd be okay, but you can't come back to Inter and have those types of results. Like, he won 2 titles in 2 years, and then he won a treble, of course, in such a memorable way. I want to have that memory preserved of him.
Couldn't agree more. It's not the right fit anymore.
Like,
one of the more. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say the only, like, listen, again, I know you and I both support Chivu. The only manager who's out there that I would be, if we decide to, for whatever reason, move on from Chivu, that I would be okay with, because you've seen him be able to be adaptable in different systems with different clubs, and be able to still be successful, would have been Mancini. That's really it. Like, I would rather him be the one that's brought back, because even with his second stint, I don't think it was a negative one, even though it wasn't as good as the first one. But I think because the circumstances were so poor, I did not hold it against him for leaving the way he did, because, you know, things that were going to be promised never were coming to fruition there. And I wanted him to stay. I wanted some players to be able to grow with him, but it is what it is. But like, he's the only guy that if we were to fire Chivu for whatever reason, the only one out there that I would want.
It's interesting because I think Mourinho versus Conte and Mourinho versus Allegri, like, they would actively play the mind games and it would be pretty explosive. I don't think Mancini, although he's capable of it and we've seen him explode while at Inter in the media, I don't think that it would have the same level, which is probably better for the club at this point in time.
For sure.
All right, Mike says, also, we clearly took the foot off the gas after the second goal. I still want to see us create more in open play before I'd call it an impressive performance. The commentator mentioned it's now been over 40 games since Barella scored for Inter. How concerned should we be about this? The open play thing is something that I saw a lot on Twitter today. It's just game situation. Like, Thuram could have scored in the first half from open play easily. We got those 2 goals on either side of halftime, like really close to halftime, and it changed the way that the game was played. I think there was definitely taking the foot off the gas, but not from the sense of like, we don't want to keep trying to score. It was more from like, it felt like they committed to not getting scored against today. Like, they wanted the clean sheet. It's not felt good to let up 6 goals in 2 games. They tightened up a little bit more, which was the mature thing to do. So I'm not too worried about the open play thing, and I still think it was an impressive performance. Man, the Barella thing, it's weird. And there have been so many of those outside of the box volleys that if he would have caught it like just a little bit sweeter, he could have had like 3 or 4 more.
He caught it sweet against Juve. It just was unfortunate that it went wide. Like,
yeah,
I'm not stressing about it. If the performances were bad and there was a 40-game, goalless drought, then I'd be a little concerned. The performances, although I don't know. I mean, I know people have him here, and like when he comes like here, which is still better than almost every midfielder in Serie A, people like freak out about him and say he's over, he's finished, he's fading, whatever. I am not reading too much into it. I mean, like let's look at some midfielders, around the like. Are people freaking out that Florian Wirtz hasn't been going crazy? Are people freaking out that I'm trying to even remember now some La Liga guys, but like, I mean, yeah, Marcos Llorente actually broke a long streak for himself as well, today against
Liverpool.
Up against Liverpool. So it's like, that's a player I rate personally. Or Kevin De Bruyne, not that he's doing well now, but like he had stints with Man City recently, even last year, where he was going long droughts without scoring himself. So it's like, why is it that it's such a problem when Barella does it? But if other midfielders of high quality, go through this type of window, it's like, nothing to cry home about. So I am not going to overthink this. I'm sure he will probably finish with 4 or 5 goals by the end of the season. And I think we just need to, relax. It's going to come. He had an opportunity in this game where, unfortunately, the center back was able to get his knee down, when he was like opened up and he just dropped his knee and he, Barella wasn't able to squeeze the ball between him. that if that gets through, that's going bottom corner and in. So it's coming. It's not like the opportunities haven't been there for him. Just we need to, calm down a little bit.
When you were doing the comparisons with other midfielders and players throughout Europe, his career is kind of taking a parallel to Kimmich at Bayern. Because remember when he first, broke onto the scene and became world class, it was like, this is, it was just very incredible to watch. And then as his career at Bayern has gone on, and also as Barella's career in these last couple seasons, this one and last season, it's almost like he is not doing what he used to do, but he's no less important to how the side is functioning.
I'm glad you said that. That was actually a great parallel, because if you look at him last year, in 33 matches, he only scored 3 goals, which is less than what Barella did. I know Barella scored his goals early in the year and then went on his cold streak, but he did that. And then 2 years ago, he only scored 1 goal. Like, you could still
but
be
he's never not in the team.
Yeah.
No matter who the manager is at Bayern, he's in the 11 every single time.
Like, now, Barella had 1 more goal and the same number of assists last year. 2 years ago, he had a less goal and 1 less assist. And then 3 years ago, way better, 6 goals, 10 assists, and then 3 goals, 12 assists the year before. Like, he's never been this like prolific goal scorer. Like, you got 3, 2, 6, 3, 3 in the last 5 years. Like, I don't know why we're panicking. And then even, the year we went to the final against, he did good goal scoring wise in the Champions League. When we went to final against City, he had 3 goals in the Champions League as well. So you could look at that year, and he had 9 goals in all comps and 10 assists. Like, I just don't know, like, what. Maybe I wish he was a little bit more of like a SMS in terms of goal scoring, where he's just able to pit, an extra 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 goals, a year. But that's just not his game. His game is to be like a facilitator and to be able to just like allow, like, he gets a lot of hockey assists. I know that's not like a stat that's really tracked, but I see what he's able to do. I see what he's able to bring, the effort that he has, the engine that he has, which is very similar to Kimmich. Kimmich is a hard worker in every other facet of the game. It doesn't matter that he's not getting on the score sheet. He's still a contributor.
Yeah, and he's still making those runs in behind to get on the end of the Bastoni long ball. Like, that play is still part of the Inter playbook, and it's got to come off soon. So, yeah, he's very important. He's very important. Yes, that Andre. Inter with 2 wins and 4 under a new and relatively inexperienced coach, with little real change to the squad, mostly like-for-like replacements. Is Chivu objectively doing a decent job given the circumstances? 11 goals scored, 6 conceded, with 4 of those attributed to player errors. It's an interesting question. I think if you take any stretch of the season, any 3-game stretch of the season, and you have 3 out of a possible 9 points, I would say that that's a bad job for an Inter side. The 11 goals scored, 5 of those came against Torino. Torino did just beat Roma 1-0. Just a quick heads up. I think the struggles to start this season, a little bit is on Chivu figuring out what he has and having to make the adjustments. We talked about the adjustments in the last episode when we were talking about Chivu. Like, is he going to stick to a certain philosophy that doesn't work for the team? He made the adjustment today. He gave Ajax the ball at a specific time in the match. Like, he let Ajax have the ball. Inter did press very aggressively, and they did get the ball forward, but they were also comfortable sitting in their block, which is going to help this team immensely if he continues to adopt that strategy. There's been a lot of individual errors for sure. Can I say he's doing a decent job? it's still not been a good start to the season for me, but my faith in him being able to get things back on track has not wavered in the slightest.
I'll just echo everything that you said. Like that's how I feel as well. I'm not hitting a panic button. Like I'm not thinking we need to bring someone in. He's not getting the job done. I think that he is someone who's taking on a role that comes with a lot of expectations, and he just needs time to be able to meet those expectations. I don't see him being a colossal failure. I don't see him being like. Why is it that we were, as Interisti, praising him for the performances that he was doing at Parma with limited funds, with limited squad at his disposal? But now that he's at Inter, not good enough. But he's good enough to get points off of Juve last year with Parma. Like, make it make sense to me then.
Yeah, I think a lot of the conversation around Chivu will be handled if we take care of business against who we're supposed to take care of business these upcoming Serie A games. And then if you get a win against Napoli away from home, that would be massive. Yeah.
And I actually want that so badly. I think that's really what the title is going to come down to.
We need it at this point.
We didn't beat Napoli last year.
If Napoli doesn't slip up until that game, if we want to consider ourselves title challengers, we need to have that game.
Absolutely.
All right. Mike again, Gurrieri.
Woo.
Keen to know what each of your starting 11 would be against the dreaded Sassuolo. Pep. Acerbi's going to be back in there. Akanji probably sits for Bisek. Bastoni, Dimarco. One of those positions is going to be Carlos. The midfield, Sucic is going to come in. Chala probably stays in there. Maybe Barella stays in there too. Dumfries probably stays in there. Thuram stays in there. Damn. Maybe Pio stays in there too. Who do you want to see? Who do you want to? You maybe don't have to give your entire 11.
No, but here's my 11. It's not going to happen, but this is what I want my 11 to be. I'm also going with Pep. I'm sticking with Akanji. I am sticking with De Vrij. I am sitting Bastoni, letting him rest a little bit. Going to play Carlos Agosto.
I thought you were going to say Palacios for a second. I was like,
no. I'm starting Dimarco. I'm going with Sucic, Calhanoglu, and Barella. I am actually going to do something a little crazy and start Luis Enrique in this game. I think that you put him against Napoli, against Sassuolo, and I would go Pio and Boni up top. And here's why I would do this. I know it's a lot of changes. It's a lot of different youth that's going to be put in. If, for whatever reason, we are struggling with Sassuolo, I would rather be able to throw on Dumfries against tired legs. I would rather be able to bring on Bastoni if needed, where we need to, push for a goal. And you could bring on Bastoni and take off Dimarco, and then allow Carlos to step up. And then if you have Thuram to be able to come on, you have a Mkhitaryan who I liked when he did come off the bench. I thought he was a much better player, and you still have Zielinski as well. And I would just feel better about that, in my opinion. That's what I think the 11 in my perfect world would be. But chances are he's gonna, stick with what he's been doing so far. Maybe Sucic gets in, and maybe Boni gets the start over Thuram. That's what I think the only two things. Well, and Pep. Those are the things that I think that he would realistically do.
Yeah. I'll probably have more thoughts on this as we get closer to it. At Lord Poppy, can someone explain why we can't play De Vrij more? Felt a lot better with him, especially with any crosses coming in. Also, why such late substitutions? We talked about the subs.
We kind of talked about De Vrij as well. The same thing. I felt better with crosses coming in too. So, Lord Poppy, we're on the same page here.
At a person 1352, this is the final question for the night. Did we get a speak pipe?
I didn't see any come through.
Let me see. You guys got to send your speak pipes. What the fuck? Favorite player to play for both Ajax and Inter. I'm jumping in first.
If you say
Because
the same name, I'm going to kill you.
it's Andy van der Mede, no?
That's who you're saying?
Andy van der Mede.
That's who you're saying? That's your pick?
Yeah. Yeah.
Go ahead, enjoy it. All right, go ahead, say what you're going to say because you're wrong, but it's okay. Say what you're going to say.
That's what I'm saying.
It's the wrong pick. It's the wrong pick. There's only one pick.
What's the right pick?
Wesley Sneijder, the most obvious pick in the history of world football, arguably the greatest midfielder in the world ever, bar none. No one comes close to Wes. Robbed of a Ballon d'Or, robbed of a World Cup, corruption and collusion from Sepp Blatter forced Wes to not win any awards that he deserves. So yeah, I'm sticking with Wesley Sneijder, my favorite player to ever wear Inter colors.
That is the correct pick. But the reason why I didn't say it is because
You wanted to be defensive.
No, because I want to talk. I just want to read off Andy van der Mede's personal life page from Wikipedia because I don't know that a lot of people know this, but he has an insane off the field history. In November 2012, following the publication of his biography, Geen Genade, English No Mercy, van der Mede gave a series of media interviews, including with the Times in England, in which he admitted to a long-term series of personal problems. After a difficult first year in Milan, he spent a long time on the bench and began drinking. Offered the chance to join Monaco at the end of the season, his wife, who liked to keep animals, rejected the prospect of living in an apartment, so he moved to Everton. Upon arriving, he played regularly for a period after regaining fitness, got injured, was in rehab for 6 months, and after his newborn daughter was hospitalized for an equal period, he turned to alcohol. In his second year at Everton, his wife and daughters returned to the Netherlands to allow his youngest child to have access to hospital treatment. Van der Mede began an affair, which his wife discovered, and she paid a private detective to follow his activities. This led to a divorce and also a breakup with his girlfriend. After his Everton contract was terminated due to recurring injuries and a falling out with David Moyes, Van der Mede remained a resident in Liverpool for a year. Moving in with a friend, he began a downward spiral of drinking, excessive gambling, and cocaine use. Realizing his now depressive state, Van der Mede agreed with his agent to return to Amsterdam, who negotiated an agreement with Ajax. This allowed him to turn around his life, regain contact with his ex-wife and daughters, and eventually lead to, in 2014, Andy van der Mede refereed the Lingerie World Cup, which the Netherlands ended up winning on home soil. I just feel like people should know. What an incredibly interesting dude we had here at Inter for a short period of time.
Yeah.
I mean,
Did not know all that. I guess congrats to
you did
you.
not watch the Lingerie World Cup in 2014.
You know what? I missed that one. I was overseas, out of commission, however you want to look at it. Did not even know that was a thing. So cool. It
was a good year.
That is a crazy story. Very funny.
Did you like him at Inter? Did he impress you at all? He never really played.
I remember some sub moments where he came on and was able to have an impact. Yeah, not my favorite player to play for both. I mean, obviously there's Eriksen too, who I love. I think an underrated one that, I thought that was a good pick with Andy, to be honest, but you could have also said Maxwell. I would have been cool. Maxwell, who I think should have had more time at Inter. I wish he did. He was a player I actually did, rate and appreciate. Where did he go right after? I think he went to Barcelona after. Was he a part? No, he wasn't. He was a separate deal, right?
No, he was a separate deal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to know the full list? Stephanie van der Graat. Oh, that's on the women's team. Andre Onana, Davy Klaassen, Christian Eriksen, Wesley Sneijder, Zlatan Ibrahimovic, Maxwell, Cristian Chivu, Van der Mede, Nwankwo Kanu, Clarence Seedorf, Dennis Bergkamp, Edgar Davids, Wim Jonk, and Aaron Winter.
Wim Jonk, bro. Don't forget Wim Jonk.
Big time. 64 games for Inter, 13 goals, 5,432 minutes. The player that actually played the most between these two clubs,
Schneider.
Chivu. 11,000 minutes for Inter.
Okay. Surprise.
The player that played the most for Inter.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought you meant like in terms
Between
of
the two.
most appearances between the two clubs. But
That would take some math that I can't right now.
no, but I think it would probably. Who did I say now?
Onana had 20,000 minutes at Ajax.
But who did I say?
With Young.
No, I didn't say Yonk was the most. I said
Maxwell?
Schneider. I said Schneider played the most
Schneider.
between the two, like overall between the two clubs. Because I don't think
I don't
Zlatan was at Ajax long enough.
Zlatan had 6,000 minutes at Ajax, 9,000 at Inter.
Actually, right here, top players. All right, so 97.
Oh,
So
it's
almost 200, and then Schneider was around 200. Where's? I mean, sorry,
David
Schneider.
Klaassen, 24,000 minutes at Ajax.
Oh, I mean, I guess technically you could say Klaassen because he had played actually 12 seasons
Yep.
for Ajax and one for Inter. But like, if you really want to talk about like guys who had, the only guy to play 100 matches for both clubs is Wesley Schneider.
Chivu did too.
Is that what this? That's not what this. Let me see.
Chivu had 108.
Chivu had 100. Oh, you're right. 108 for. Yep. All right. No, I mean Maxwell got close. All right. So Schneider. All right. How many did Chivu play? 108 and 146, and then you got.
The only ones that both played over 100 matches were Wesley Schneider and Cristian Chivu.
Yep. And then Zlatan was close. He was at 97 with Ajax.
Two legit football history powerhouses. These two teams. I was happy to see Ajax on there. It's a good club. I like them. They got a great academy. I mean, we should definitely be scouting from there for sure.
Yeah. I mean, Joseph Sutal is still there.
You like anybody else on that team? I like Mika Goetz. I think he's good. Wijndal, their left back, is pretty good. But none of them really played well today.
And I feel like I'm... Oh, no, the other guy I'm thinking of plays for PSV. Never mind.
Ruben Van Bommel?
No.
Flamingo?
Yes, Flamingo.
Yep. All right. Johnny, I think that's a wrap, brother.
Yes, sir. Let's all... Can we all celebrate real quick, too, that Chelsea lost? Thank you, Bayern, for... I hate Chelsea. Hate him.
Levels.
Anyway.
Are you gonna hate watch tomorrow?
I am gonna hate watch. I am going to support City. There will be
the one and only time in your life.
The one and only time I'm gonna be a big City fan. I'm also going to watch the earlier match to see a certain somebody play against Monaco.
Who's Monaco playing?
As soon as you see it, you'll know the player I'm talking about.
Tomorrow it's Club Brugge. Alexander.
Yes, sir. Gotta watch him. I gotta see. And then I'm actually also gonna be a big Newcastle fan tomorrow because they're playing Barcelona. So, although they're probably gonna get smacked.
3 days of Champions League in 1 week.
It's kind of weird, but it is nice to have something else to watch tomorrow instead of that boring Europa League.
Are we getting all Europa League tomorrow too? The whole thing?
Are we getting Europa League tomorrow?
Oh no, that's not starting until next week.
Oh, that's funny. Maybe this is why we're only getting Thursday this week.
Yep.
But I'll take it.
All right. In the words of the great Roberto Scarpini, forza ragazzi, forza ragazzi, forza ragazzi.